operation right there in Wilkes Barre. That's 21,000. We'll be at 56,000. So I think we'll be in a good spot there. What concerns me now is energetics and some of the fragility with supply chain, in particular, and some of our dependencies on international sourcing, in some cases adversarial sourcing. And the team's worked really hard there. To see ourselves. We've got a really fantastic assured munitions team. As we like to say, we can see ourselves from the ground to the round. And that's driven a lot of near-term investments with other international partners while we look to leverage authorities like the Defense Production Act to onshore critical capabilities, things like TNT, antimony, or I think recent examples that are going to make a difference.
Okay, so Mesquite, we talked about it, and the equipment that was envisioned to be able to produce the 155s and others apparently is not operating as we expected. Are we at the point that we're going to throw in the towel on the equipment and refit it to the likes of Scranton?
So we're in negotiations right now with General Dynamics.
Okay, got that. Can you share with us when we expect that we'll be able to get the 155s? Give me a quarter, last quarter of this year, beginning. We're just trying to get an idea after 2+ years. How close are we getting?
So in terms of delivery of part, I don't think we're that close. Okay. In terms of a plan of what a rescoped Mesquite would look like, I think we'll see that here very quickly.
Okay. I yield back.
Okay, I guess since I'm going to recognize myself then. All right. First of all, Ingraham or Ingram?
Ingraham.
Ingraham. Mohan or Mohan?
It's Mohan, sir.
Mohan. All right. Kind of hooked on phonics here. General Mohan, inadequate supply resources at a misaligned organic industrial base continue, as I mentioned in my earlier remarks, a low mission capability rate. Can you better explain why this is occurring and describe for us your plan to rapidly increase our readiness to better meet program design standards?
Yes, sir, and thank you for the question. So I would say to the why we are where we are right now, I can't speak particularly to the decisions that were made between are we going to modernize and buy new stuff, or are we going to sustain the current fleet that we have. What I can tell you is the way that we are attacking the problem in Army Materiel Command of particularly those units that are under the highest stress. And so our biggest consumers right now are our heavy BCTs, our Armored Brigade Combat Teams. They consume the most maintenance capability, they consume the most Class 9. And so what we've done is, with our Operational Readiness Program, instead of taking a fleet-based view, because quite frankly, some of our worst vehicles will wash out at the size of our fleets, we've started looking at a unit-based view, synchronizing the capability that we have with the timelines and the train-up of a division commander, and doing several things. One, we apply heavy depot maintenance teams, export them from Anniston and Red River down to the unit's motor pool to help the unit see themselves. Then we harvest the worst of their vehicles, the ones that are consuming the most man hours, the ones that are consuming the most Class 9 or repair parts, and we give them new ones that are coming off the depot production line. And then finally, we follow that unit through their deployment with depot maintenance capability, and we're seeing great results. And so for example, 1st Brigade, 1st Armored Division is our latest ORP candidate. They just loaded the boat to go to Europe, and they loaded with one of the legacy, one of our oldest equipment fleets. They loaded the boat at the highest readiness rate of any ABCT in the Army. So we know it works. The last rotation that went through during their 9-month rotation in Europe consumed $30 million less in Class 9 in repair parts and maintained a higher readiness rate. So in the future, we look to double down on that, and instead of doing a smaller subset of harvesting of vehicles, we're going to expand that by threefold because the process is working. The second one is I would pull the thread on is advanced manufacturing. So it's not only access to tech data, it's access to digitized tech data that we're after. So if you go to one of our academia partners, the National Institute for Avionics Research, you'll see a B-1 bomber, you'll see all fixed-wing fighter jets. You also see an M88 that is over sitting in the corner, and they're taking apart and digitizing every part on that so that we can digitize it and use it for advanced manufacturing. And we're exploding that capability across the Army, across our organic industrial base, and down at unit levels, connecting it all in a digital repository and a connected network of capability that is powered by data that says here are the parts that we need to produce, and then we produce those parts in different places across to solve the challenge that we're having with readiness rates, all while putting pressure on our industry partners who owe us right now over $500 million worth of delinquent back orders of repair parts, so that we are putting pressure on them to produce and to deliver the parts that we have ordered.
Thank you. Honorable Ingraham. Boy, that's a mouthful. There's a lot of syllables in there. What steps is the Army taking to ensure that digital twin technologies and advanced manufacturing early in the acquisition process with those areas to ensure that we can adequately maintain our ground vehicles? General Mohan kind of talked about it a little bit, but you want to put a little more meat on the bone?
Absolutely, Chairman. Appreciate that. Absolutely. So first of all, competition drives a lot of that right up front, right? So as we get more competition into the acquisition process, that's driving a lot more commercial products in ability to get after a number of those areas where we don't have the technical data rights. The second piece of that I'll talk to, is really asking for the right technical data up front, right? We have had the approach across the government for many of years to ask for it all, right? We want it all. We don't need it all. There are certain aspects of the technical data we need. Those we need to ensure we're asking for the right technical data up front is a key piece of that. The second thing is, General Mohan talked about it, right? We have gotten technical data from industry in the past when we have either bought it or negotiated up front in some of our acquisition strategies, and then we had no place to put that technical data. It resides on CDs or, somebody's computer somewhere. And so having an infrastructure that allows us to have that data in one place, that allows access to that data from, an echelon, right? So if the unit on the front line wants to be able to 3D print a part because they got a 3D printer, they should be able to have access to that data just as easy as, General Mohan and each one of the depots has access to that data. So building out that network and that data infrastructure is critical, and those are a couple of areas we're working on to ensure that we have the right IP, the right data, and can actually sustain our capabilities.
Okay, thanks. General Mohan, as we look to the future and note the need to transform our tactical vehicle fleet, we know that we'll be maintaining a number of Humvees in the enduring fleet. Approximately 70,000 is what we've heard. To that end, we know that the organic industrial base played a critical role maintaining, modifying, and upgrading those vehicles to not only address the current missions, but also to ensure the safety of all of our soldiers. We note that the continuation of the rollover mitigation in your spend plan, which we applaud, it's because safety's the number one priority. What else do you envision for the tactical wheeled vehicles that ensure our ground platforms maintain top levels of readiness in the future?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things. One is to continue to install anti-lock brake kits in the Humvees that we need, and so that work is ongoing at Red River Army Depot, as well as we do modifications, working with our ASALT partners, cutting into the line things like for HEMTT tankers, for example, cutting into the line those safety modifications, like for example, rollover mitigation that will automatically shut off the fuel tank system. That is required in Europe. we're doing those modifications, as well as anti-lock brakes, and while we're doing the same thing, preparing them for autonomous driving. So there's